Good day, students. So let's begin our aspect called Psychology of Communication and Etiquette. The aim of this subject is to give information about the communication skills and how to improve your communication ability or skills during your professional career. And here below, we are going to speak about the terminology that are mostly used in this aspect. The first thing, what is etiquette? When we speak about the behaviors of people, when we speak about the rules of communication, it can be oral or verbal, it comes across with the term etiquette. This is a customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular professional group. This definition is taken from Oxford English Dictionary. But there are a lot of definitions given to the term etiquette by different kinds of resources by scientists and researchers. Some of them say they are rules, forms, practices established for behavior in a polite society or in official or professional life. So generally we can say that this is a rules of behavior or forms that is accepted by a special society or just a definite society or group of people. And some of them say that it is understanding the effects of good manners and protocol in all cultures and increasingly important in our global society. It's a proper etiquette shows respect, sincerity, and self-confidence. Each culture gives different definition to this term. If these rules of etiquette don't exist, we would act more like animals and less like people, and aggressiveness and every man for himself attitude would increase. And that's why, in order to keep them informed, the rules of etiquette exist. Otherwise, all people become aggressive and they could do whatever they prefer. In early history, they existed, and a lot of people followed or just observed the rules of etiquette. It could be whether in west or east and north. In a very early period, people followed special rules of etiquette. Looking at the picture, you can see how people behave themselves in teams or in different kind of occasions and parties. And it referred to different kind of ceremonies and traditions. For example, widows then were expected to dress in a widow's weeds and completely black clothing and veils for a full year after the death of their husband. It also was a form of etiquette, and it also concerned the different kind of ceremonies, the different kind of wedding parties, different kind of communication events, and so on. From the picture you can see different kind of attire or dressing of men at that period, and concerning the marriage, mourning, and major events, they had got special rules that was ruled by special rulers, and according to the etiquette they evaluated the person, evaluated their social state. Over the centuries, as society has become more democratic, etiquette has become an excellent combination of good manners, common sense, and the rules of conduct, and reflected the culture of norms and rules of their society. And according to their behavior, according to their attire, according to their speech, people could evaluate the behavior of people in early times. But etiquette in today's society, it has got several important functions. It begins from early kindergartens, from early schools, from primary schools. From the early childhood, we try to teach etiquette to our children, to our nephews, nieces, to our grandchildren, and so on. Etiquette provides personal security. Knowing how to behave appropriately in a given situation makes you more comfortable. You feel more safe. If you know the etiquette of that atmosphere, etiquette of that team that you are in, you feel sure. You feel secure in this area, in this sphere, in this group of people. It protects the feeling of others. Proper etiquette requires that you make others comfortable and protect their feelings. You don't point out to their errors and draw attention to their mistakes, because this, in the rules of etiquette, it is prohibited. It makes communication clear. Etiquette enhances communication by breaking down barriers and not erecting them. And while keeping your etiquette, you don't irritate them. You keep the norms of language, norms of ethics and ethics. It will enhance your status at work. What does it mean? If you behave well, if you speak correctly, if you know the rules of etiquette, your position at work may increase. They begin to respect you. You earn respect, and the more intelligent you are, the more respect you may earn. It makes good first impression. Why, if you use the etiquette in the communication, you may make some kind of impression in getting a job, in possessing some position, and that's why sometimes after you, people may analyze the first impression about you, and that's why it will help to get a future job with your own etiquette. You can get good positions. And what about to switch on a good behavior or be polite? Is it good? Is it easy? And sometimes to switch on a good behavior and to be polite sometimes is very difficult, and that's why it should be taught from early childhood. Sometimes in different situations you have to switch on the good behavior. It can be formal positions, and that's why I've just told it should begin from the family. It's difficult to switch on a good behavior, and it needs a long practice. And practicing the high standards, and try to be polite towards your spouse, towards your parents, and all people whom you see in your daily life. Be polite, show your etiquette, and show how intellectual person you are, and you will earn respect. Now we'll speak about the terminology of psychology. The term psychology, especially nowadays, became very popular and famous, and psychologists are applied more and by people who have got a lot of problems, issues to be solved, and that's why people apply to them. So what is psychology? A lot of sources give different definitions to this term. Psychology is a scientific study of the mind and behavior according to the different kind of associations, and it studies the human development, sport, health, clinical, social behavior, and cognitive processes. Especially it deals from early times, and its origins can be traced back to the ancient Greece, 500 years BC. And we're not going to speak about etymology of this aspect, but we are going to stress on the aim of this aspect. What does it aim? Psychology is a science of mind and behavior. We have just spoken about it. And psychology includes the study of conscious and unconscious, the phenomena as well as the feeling and thoughts. Especially, it aims to understand individuals and groups by establishing general principles and researching specific cases. People apply to this as a sphere with their own problems, and especially they try to search the mind, the brain, the thoughts, and the behaviors of human beings to find the solution for the wrong or negative behavior of people. Psychologists explore behaviors and mental processes, including perception, cognition, attention, emotion, intelligence, and so on. And the goals of psychology. What are the goals of psychology? Now we are going to speak about them, but generally they work with emotions, with the behavior, with the brain, the thoughts, state of human being. So psychology goals the followings. While psychological knowledge is often applied to the assessment and treatment of mental health problems, it's also directed towards understanding and solving problems in several spheres of human activity. So generally we can say that when they speak about the mental health problems of people, and they solve mental problems of human beings. Especially they bring a benefit to society. And this kind of profession, especially, are very useful at schools, at universities, especially this kind of position is given to each organization concerning to the educational system, like kindergarten, schools. Psychologists especially work with children, with adults, in order to direct them in correct way. So there are four main goals of psychology: to describe, to explain, to predict, and change. One more time I am going to explain. There are four main goals of psychology: to describe, to explain, to predict, and to change. Here below we are going to speak one by one about these four goals of psychology. When we speak about describing means that describe some kind of situation. For example, some people come to psychologists with the problems. So here, the first task of psychologists is to describe behavior, cognition of a person. Through describing the response of dogs to various stimuli, Ivan Pavlov helped to develop laws of learning known as a classical conditioning theory. So that means that first of all they describe the situation, looking at the behavior, listening to the problem of clients. First of all they describe the situation. The next one, they explain. Once researchers have described general laws of behavior, the next step is to explain how and why this trend occurs. Psychologists will propose the theories which can explain a behavior. They explain. First of all, they listen, and then they explain why it happened, why the behavior of people occurred to be in this way. The next step after explaining is to predicting. Psychology aims to be able to predict future behaviors from the findings of empirical research. So they try to predict the future happenings if they behave in which way. It is called prediction. The next one, they described, explained, and made prediction. Now the turn comes to changing or controlling a behavior can be attempted. For example, if they analyze the behavior, they show the results. Now it's time to be changed. They try to change the personal behavior, change the event. It helps people to solve the problems. On the screen we can see psychologists is listening to the person, and they make the situation clear and find the solution. They help the confused person with their mental problem, with their mental health problems. So now let's move to the next term, communication. So what is communication? And I think all of you know the term very well, because without communication there is no life. Communication is simply the act of transferring information from one place, person, or group to another. So communication is the process of exchanging information or messages between two individuals or between two groups or between two organizations and physical body. As you know, there exist participants of communication, senders and receiver, in between which message is circling. So the sender sends a message and receiver receives it and then sends it back. This is the process of communication and participants of communication. And every day you have got this role. You are part of communication, exchange information. And do you think all communication that you take part gain success? The transmission of the message from sender and recipient can be affected by a huge range of things. For example, the emotions, cultural situations, medium used to communication, even the location. All the communication result depends on different situations concerning the emotions and the conditions, location, and so on. So the main steps inherent to all communications are. So now here we are going to speak about the main steps of communication. It doesn't matter what type of communication you are to try. You have to try to succeed or to achieve your aim of communication. So the formation of communication and communicative motivation or reason, and the message is a composition of elaboration or what exactly to express. Message encoding, for example, into digital data, written text, speech, pictures, gestures, and so on. So message can be in written form or orally or gestures and so on. So transmission, especially of encoded message, it is sending information, and the reception, it means signals or reassembling of encoded message from the sequence of received signal. So transmission, it means sending information. Reception, it means just accepting the information. People accept the information by 5 sense organs: by hearing, by seeing, by touching, by tasting, and smelling. They are 5 senses of human body that they can receive the information. So one more time I am going to explain. So we receive information by 5 sense organs: by hearing, by seeing, by touching, by tasting, and by smelling. So on the picture we can see how people receive information: visually, so auditory, tasting, and so on. Hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, and feeling, tasting. So these are 5 sense organs of human being, which they possess information, they receive information. All of them will help us to get information in different way. So they can be visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and so on. This aspect aims to teach learners how to speak and how to behave during communication, and how to affect others, or shortly, how to succeed in communication process. So you should know the psychology of communication. So, according to the etiquette, you try to earn respect. All of them, all 3 terms are related to each other: so psychology, etiquette, and communication. Thank you very much for your attention. If any questions, you can ask me at any time.